Oh, good. There's everybody. Let's see here. I've got to go live on the Instagram. See if we can do this. All right, there we go. Hey, everybody. Happy full moon. It's actually almost an exact full moon. The full moon is exact like in a few minutes. Let's see. When exactly in Birmingham? Yeah, the full moon's exact at 5:47 p.m. So literally in just a few minutes in Birmingham, Alabama. And for everyone else, check your local time. It's probably, it's actually going to be that way for everybody. It's just not sunset everywhere. So you should try to get out and look at it if you are in Central Time, because the moon will be rising full and it's going to be really cool looking. I'm really excited about that. So let's just go ahead and talk about what the full moon in Cancer means for everybody. A full moon is always a time of heightened energy, heightened emotions, and very much so for this full moon, because the moon rules Cancer, which is emotions, emotional security. It's our family. It can even indicate ancestry and the people that are in your bloodline, even chosen family. So usually this full moon in Cancer, which happens every year in either December or January, depending, it's always a time when we process what we feel. And this particular one is super powerful because the sun is conjoined to Pluto. Pluto is the planet that represents power, transformation. So you're talking about trying to empower ourselves in the Capricorn area of our lives. So success, and especially depending on where it is in your chart, but success, public reputation, these are all Capricorn themes, work, career. It's also boundaries, rules, foundational structures. And so we're really trying to empower ourselves there. Well, it makes sense that the full moon in Cancer would be a heightened time of emotions. In the middle of all of this change, in the middle of all of this, grappling with very serious things in our life, we have this opportunity to feel into it, to nourish ourselves, to nurture those around us, and to feel comforted. At least that's what we're hoping, right? Especially from this place of inner security, inner, like I can count on myself kind of a feeling. And therefore, feeling empowered with that Sun-Pluto conjunction. So that's really exciting. I do have through the rising signs. I'll go ahead and give those to you really quickly. For Aries rising, this full moon is in your fourth house, which is home, emotional security, ancestry, your soul. So you can think for Aries risings, this is like a triple sort of a thing. I don't necessarily do ABC houses, but the fourth house is very similar to the Cancer archetype. So this is a time of feeling into your home, into your family, into your own emotional security, possibly reflecting off of career, public reputation, maybe the name you're trying to make for yourself out in the world, and also how your home and family support you in that. For Taurus rising, this is about communication, local community, siblings, your thought processes. This full moon is in your third house. So you are feeling into how you think, how you make decisions, also the community around you. Now, that would mean the Sun-Pluto conjunction is in your ninth house, which is truth, belief, philosophy. So you're trying to empower yourself there, maybe going back to school. It's a higher education sort of theme. Also, travel is a theme for Taurus rising right now. And this may have you feeling into maybe you're not able to travel, but what does it feel like to be home, to be with my thoughts, to be in a place where I can communicate to people? So that's what this full moon is for you. For Gemini rising, this full moon is in the area of assets, values, and self-worth. It's about money and how you share it with people. The Sun and Pluto are in your eighth house. This is, do I share my resources? Do I allow people to take from me? How much am I charging for things? How much am I being paid? You are emotionally connected to and nourishing your own self-worth for this full moon based on trying to claim your power in that 8th house area. So for Cancer rising, this is your identity. Okay. So perhaps you've been working a lot on empowering yourself through relationships. That's where the Sun and Pluto are. This is about nourishing your identity, your independence, your autonomy, and yourself. So for Cancer risings, you may feel like you want some space or just to be with your own personal, authentic self during this full moon. That's what you're nourishing and feeling into. Okay, for Leo rising, this is about spirituality, dreams, retreat, and reflection for you. It is in your 12th house. So the Sun and Pluto are in your 6th house, claiming power over your health, over your routine, over maybe even what you do every day for work, because that's the 6th house. So this full moon is saying, okay, nurture the ability to let go a little bit, to dream, to let yourself wander. You've been putting in a lot of work. That's what you're supposed to be doing, Leo rising. Okay, Virgo rising. This is about groups of people, goals, the future, networking. This full moon is in your 11th house. So your 5th house is where the Sun and Pluto is. This is inner creativity, purpose, fun, enjoyment. You've been trying to empower yourself creatively, even in terms of like enjoying yourself. This full moon is like, okay, time to put that out into networking. Maybe you need people in your life. Maybe that's what this full moon is saying. Nurture the groups of people around you. And then also nurture your future goals. You know, you've been living in the here and now. That's great. Time to think about your goals for this full moon. Libra rising, public reputation, achievement, success. This is in your 10th house. So perhaps you've been trying to empower yourself at home, Sun and Pluto in your 4th house, through your family, through your emotional security. And now this full moon is saying, now you need to nurture achievement, public reputation, success. So it's time to strike out and do something that kind of climbs the mountain. That's the full moon in Cancer for you, Libra rising. Okay, for Scorpio rising, this is in the area of philosophy, beliefs, higher education, and travel. So the Sun and Pluto have been in your 3rd house. This is local community, how I think, how I make decisions, how I process my thoughts. So you've been working a lot on your own communication, your own way of thinking, and really dialing that in, trying to empower yourself differently there. The full moon is in your 9th house of travel, beliefs, adventure. It's like, take it out and go adventure with it. Now that you are empowering yourself in the way you communicate and the way you think, time to level up a little bit and maybe go take a class or travel or listen to some different philosophies. You're expanding your mind for this full moon, and that's what you're nurturing right now. Okay, Sagittarius rising. This is about shared resources, empowerment, and sexuality. So the Sun-Pluto conjunction has been in your 2nd house. This is your values. You're empowering yourself with your money, your assets, and your self-worth. Okay, that's where you've been really kind of trying to take authority there. Now, Sagittarius rising, this full moon is saying now it's time to nurture the relationships in your life to a certain extent, how you share yourself with people, either giving too much or not enough, depending on your own chart and your own life. Sexuality, the root chakra, that is what you're nurturing, the deeper parts of yourself. So you're going internal for this full moon, Sagittarius rising. Okay, Capricorn rising. This is in your 7th house. It's about relationships, agreements, and friends. For a while, you've been trying to claim authority and personal autonomy. That's where the Sun and Pluto are in your 1st house. Identity, all of that. You've been working on who you are as a person. This full moon is like, now it's time to nurture your friendships a little, get back out there and make connections, maybe even romantic relationships or business partnerships. But that's what you're nourishing, nurturing, and hoping to be nurtured by the way. Okay, Aquarius rising. This is in your 6th house, health, rituals, routine, pets, what you do for work. That's what you're nurturing and nourishing and being nurtured by for this full moon. So you have done a lot of spiritual, almost abstract work with the Sun-Pluto conjunction in your 12th house. That is the area of spirituality, dreams, mysticism. So it's a little bit abstract what you're claiming authority over. You're not actually having to do anything. You're just working on being spiritually empowered. But this full moon is about, now it's time to nurture your routines and your rituals. You've done a lot of letting go. So time to grab onto something, nurture your pets, right? Maybe hoping that your work nourishes you, your rituals, making sure you're starting healthy daily routines. That is all what Aquarius risings are nurturing right now. So Pisces rising, this is in your 5th house. It's about creativity, courage, purpose, children, inner child. The Sun Pluto conjunction is in your 11th house. So you've been empowering yourself through your networking, through your goals, really taking authority and stepping into your power there, which is very outward. This full moon is very focused on your own creativity, your own fun. It's like time to let go a little bit and have some fun, Pisces risings. Also connect to that inner child, to the idea of purpose and creativity and self. Okay, so that takes care of the full moon in Cancer by rising sign. I just wanted to give that to you. I do want to go through the rest of the week because there's a lot happening. So the other thing going on during this full moon is a Mercury retrograde sextile to Chiron. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer, and it is about, in Aries, about really nurturing, well, nurturing is not the right word, healing your own authenticity, like showing up authentically, self-acceptance, self-love. Mercury retrograde is reminding us of that. And that is exact today and tomorrow. It's really more exact tomorrow, I believe, starts tonight. So it's really nice to also have during this full moon the ability to tap into accepting ourselves, like showing up as we are. It's okay to do that. That's what Mercury retrograde sextiling Chiron is about. So tomorrow, what we've got going on is the moon in Leo. I'm gonna open up my notes here because I will forget what I've got going on. Okay. So the moon's in Leo, but the most important thing, and I think the bigger thing, is Uranus turning direct. So Uranus is the agent of change. It represents liberation, revolution, upheaval, unpredictable events. But I've grown really fond of Uranus over the years because it does allow the ability to shift. And if you need change in your life, it will give it to you, sometimes in unpredictable ways. But I really love Uranus moving direct, especially right after this full moon. It indicates some like freshness. And, you know, Mercury turned around in a square to that. So it's like built into the moment. It's like this chord that you know, like playing guitar. It's like this chord that's playing in the background, Uranus turning direct. But yeah, it's like the most effective direct means of creation. That's what Uranus represents to me. It's lightning, it's unexpected thoughts and decisions. So you may have that, but I hope it feels nice and new tomorrow. Like the world's moving in again a little bit. So the moon's in Leo, which is a playful sign. It will make a square with Uranus and Taurus tomorrow. So it brings this direct motion into our awareness almost immediately. I always say the moon shows up when there's an important thing going on, and it will square Uranus and Taurus, which is, you know, innovating our self-worth and value. So with the moon square that, it's like, we maybe want to just be playful in our creativity, but Uranus and Taurus is like, we need to take a little more of a serious approach and change things, you know? So we're trying to change our assets, our values, our self-worth. So it can be a little hard. Sometimes that can trigger the inner child a little bit too, especially if you are going through a massive change. So, you know, that's an initial sort of lightning aspect to that Uranus. The moon will also trine Chiron in Aries, which is really nice. And Mercury retrograde is making a sextile to Chiron in Aries. So this makes a wedge. It looks like a palette knife. And I was watching Bob Ross the other day, and this aspect is really cool because it looks like, you know, what painters use on a palette, which can get you a really sharp edge, right? You do things really sharply with a palette knife. And I think this is a really good day to tune into that self-acceptance and self-love, maybe shave off some stuff that we don't really need or don't want to hold on to there. Okay, so at least I think it's a palette knife. What else is it trining? It may be trining something else. Either way, Mercury is still sextile Chiron and the moon is trining Chiron. Yeah, that's a palette knife. Okay. Wednesday, January 19th, moon's in Leo. It will oppose Saturn in Aquarius just before sunrise. So it could be feeling like there's a lot of work to do that day. Usually when we wake up with a Saturn aspect, it's like, okay, I've got work to do. But later in the day, the moon does trine Mars. It gets closer to trining Mars all day, which can provide some motivation and optimism, especially with Mars and Sagittarius. So that's really nice. The sun moves into Aquarius overnight on Wednesday, emphasizing future goals, groups of people we associate with. That's where the sun, which is the powerhouse of all of it, is putting its energy into Aquarius. Okay, Thursday, January 20th, early in the morning, the moon moves into Virgo. This pulls back. So the moon in Leo is out having fun, being playful and creative. Thursday, we sort of pull back a little bit into Virgo, and I call Virgo the sign of pruning. So it is the sign that where we clip the things we don't need, we organize, we dust things up, both literally and metaphorically and metaphysically. So the urge to organize may be pretty big. It's given a boost by its opposition to Jupiter in Pisces. So Jupiter in Pisces is traveling through until I think May is when it moves into Aries. So Jupiter is abundance and expansion, and it's expanding this very spiritual part of us. Pisces is mysticism, intuition, dreams, reflection. So it is a bit abstract, but the moon in Virgo opposite that really brings us into this spiritual alignment. So I really like that. It shows us the power that rituals hold in our lives and routine. And it's an excellent day to start a new routine or clear out space for meditation and mindfulness, build an altar, something like that. Okay, Friday, January 21st. Today's astrology is pretty quiet. The moon in Virgo makes a trine to Uranus before sunrise, and it won't make any other connections today. So we could wake up with a realization that something has shifted. But with the moon also applying to an opposition with Neptune and Pisces, like way later, that's why I say it won't make many connections like through till the night. It will make a connection in opposition with Neptune later in the evening. So that can be a little confusing. Neptune is diffusive and elusive. And so it's like we wake up with the Uranus connection, which is like, oh, something's changed. But we're a little foggy on what it is on Friday. We do, I think, get into that spacier territory Friday night. So dreams should be crazy Friday night. And a Virgo moon really is a good time, especially opposing Neptune and Pisces, to kind of zone out, do something with your hands. Like it's a great time to sprout seeds, especially in where I'm at in the central US, southern US. Okay, Saturday, January 22nd. This day begins with the Virgo moon trining the south node in Taurus, which actually tomorrow, the true nodes where eclipses happen move into Taurus and Scorpio. So this is a big shift, but it's not going to be very apparent until we get closer to Aquarius season. But any little connection with the moon may give us a little touch of what the south node in Taurus is about. I'm sorry, the north node in Taurus. I'm glad I caught that typo in my notes. And the south node in Scorpio. So the Virgo moon trines that north node in Taurus, which is like pointing our souls in the direction of self-worth, of really figuring out what our true values are, taking care of the earth. Taurus is an earth sign. So that's really nice, I think, to tune into what this eclipse pattern is going to be about. And it also trines Pluto and Capricorn at the same time, which I went over at the beginning of this video. Pluto and Capricorn is really trying to take authority, take power in an area of our lives or feel empowered. It's not so much in that dark way of taking power. It can be, but the higher vibe is to be empowered in our everyday lives. And this Virgo moon trine the North Node in Taurus and trine Pluto and Capricorn is really nice to start out Saturday with. So let's see, is there anything else going on Saturday? No, but with the moon in Virgo, it's just good to organize, especially with it trining Pluto, it's good to get rid of things that aren't working, right? Like, oh, we are done with that. Let's just make a little change here. The moon does make a square with Mars in the early afternoon. So I should say that because that can be a temporary like irritation, but it gives way. It's pretty brief with the moon. It does move pretty fast. And then the moon moves into Libra on Saturday, January 22nd, just before dinner. So then we turn our attention to more peaceful things. You know, Libra is peace, balance, relationships. That's what we're turning our attention to Saturday evening. So Sunday, January 23rd, this is actually overnight. Let's talk about this. Saturday the 22nd into Sunday the 23rd, we have a Mercury cazimi. This is Mercury meeting the sun. Mercury is retrograde. The sun's moving forward. It's moved into Aquarius by this point. Mercury is apparently moving backwards. It just looks like it's moving backwards. On this day, they make a conjunction. They come together. Now, Mercury cazimi is looked at as very fortunate, and it's actually a very specific period of time, traditionally speaking. So it starts at about 3:30 a.m. in the central US on Saturday night into Sunday and ends about 7:30 in the morning. This is known as an audience with the king. It's like we get an insight into what the sun in Aquarius means for us, what Mercury retrograde in Aquarius mean for us, what Aquarius is in general, which is innovation. It's standing out from a crowd. It's leading. It is the future. Okay, so we get an insight into what this Mercury retrograde means for us, and we wake up with this epiphany. That's what it feels like anyway. The moon's in Libra, and it actually happens to be making a trine to Mercury retrograde and the sun meeting together first thing in the morning. So it seems to be a day in which, yes, Mercury's still retrograde, but we're firing on all cylinders. We have this new perspective on Sunday, January 23rd. And it's cool because it's the sun's day and the sun is meeting with its messenger Mercury. So I would look for messages, especially regarding this Aquarian purpose. Early in the evening, the moon makes a trine to Saturn in Aquarius, which is great for going over the plans for the week. So this is a Sunday evening, right? So it's a great day for saying, okay, here's what we're going to do this week, especially in the evening on Sunday, the 23rd. Mars is at the last degree of Sagittarius for the entire day. It's at the 29th degree, which does turn up the energy regarding beliefs and truth. So we may feel, it's known as the anaretic degree, which lends itself to a heightened way of being. It can be crisis is what it's called, the crisis degree, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that. It just seems like super extra Sagittarius, the 29th degree. So we're talking about what we're doing regarding our beliefs and travel. Mars is a do planet. So that is something to note. And then also on this day, another thing to note, and this really starts today, is that Venus is starting to slow down. It's retrograde as well. We've got Mercury and Venus retrograde. So Venus retrograde is starting to move slower. And at this point, it reaches the 11th degree, 49 minutes of Capricorn retrograde. What this does is put it in a very close trine to Uranus. Uranus is at 10 degrees, 49 minutes during this, okay? That means they're a degree apart. So Venus will never exactly trine Uranus. It's just so funny the way this works, which I think actually builds it a little more. This builds that need to shift, to change, upheaval, liberation. So this week coming up, starting Monday the 24th, will be very, I think, life-changing, rebellious, revolutionary, and it regards our money. Uranus is in Taurus, Venus is in Capricorn. Both of those signs are very related to money, assets. It sounds like I'm a capitalist, but it doesn't matter. That's what it's related to. So we have to think about it in those terms. Also relationships and the rules around relationships. So we may find ourselves freeing ourselves from either a rule in a relationship or a relationship altogether, or rules around money. Maybe some unexpected yet supportive things come in. A trine is always supportive. So I expect the week of Monday, the 24th to be very life-changing. It only gets closer and closer as Venus starts to station to go direct from here. Okay, so let's talk about Monday, the 24th. So this week is already starting out on a significant shift. We got Venus trining Uranus as it's slowing down. And then Mars moves into Capricorn overnight. So now we've got Mars in Capricorn. There's a lot in Capricorn right now. We got Mars, which may have us pushing forward on themes of Capricorn success, public reputation, career, boundaries, rules. Mars pushes us forward. It can bring a little inflammation to this area as well, but it gives an extra boost to this urge to push forward on themes of success, public reputation, career with the moon in Libra. The moon in Libra is square Pluto in Capricorn for much of the day. So this is almost like a revisitation of this full moon, because the moon was opposed to Pluto. So we reach Monday, the 24th, and the moon's square to Pluto. And this is like, hey, are you in situations that empower yourself? Mars is going to bring the oomph needed to make some movements in this area. So don't forget that. So the first half of Monday, the 24th could be a little intense. The moon does move past that square pretty quick, and it's at the late degrees of Libra with not much else going on. However, by nighttime, the moon moves into Scorpio, which is its modern ruler is Pluto. So Monday, the 24th looks like it's going to be a little bit of an intense day where we're really claiming our authority, stepping into this need for success, need to climb the mountain, so to speak. And it could be in any area of your life. This could be identity and money, communication. I encourage you to look at your rising sign and figure it out. Okay, Tuesday, the 25th. This begins with an early morning third quarter square of the moon phase. So the moon is in Scorpio, square the sun in Aquarius. This is the closing square of the whole moon phase that starts, actually doesn't start today. It started with a new moon, but is halfway there today with the full moon. So on Tuesday, the 25th, we have that third quarter square, which is the last adjustment from this last new moon in Capricorn. And it's the moon in Scorpio square the sun in Aquarius, which is like a tug of war between our need to deeply share ourselves with someone, the moon in Scorpio to dive deep. But the sun in Aquarius is like detaching. Okay. It's not all about that. So there's a little tension there. Luckily, at the same time, the moon's trine Jupiter in Pisces. So that helps to give us this intuitive insight while this square is going on, and this beneficial trine to Jupiter is going to probably mitigate how annoying the third quarter square could be. The moon opposes Uranus on Tuesday, the 25th by late afternoon. And if you've heard me talk about Uranus, you know it's unexpected events, upheaval, revolution, liberation. So when the moon makes a connection to Uranus, it's always brief, but it can be like this emotional shift or idea, right? This like, oh, that's how I feel. So the moon does square Saturn and Mercury. Let's see, the moon squares Saturn from Scorpio. And Mercury retrogrades back into Capricorn that night. Okay, so we're talking about Tuesday, January 25th. Yes, the moon in Scorpio does square Saturn that evening, which also could feel like some obstacles and limitations. I'm not expecting Tuesday, January 25th to be all bad. Luckily, because of that trine of the moon to Jupiter to start off with. So I think there's some gifts to be had, but it does look like there is some obstacles, limitations, a little tension on Tuesday, the 25th. So write things down, because Mercury moving back into Capricorn, it may help to just get it down on paper and see what's going on. Okay. Wednesday, the 26th, the Scorpio moon starts us off on this kind of escapist mystical quest with its trine to Neptune and Pisces first thing. I always find moon trines to Neptune when we wake up to be hard to wake up. Like it wants to escape, right? So, you think moon in Scorpio wants to be kind of in this fixed water emotional space. And then Neptune in Pisces is, like, hey, just let it all go. So it can feel like maybe a little hard to wake up Wednesday, the 26th. But dreams are probably going to have been very powerful overnight. I always say pay attention on these days for dreams, maybe what they show you, what you're working out in your dreams. But it might be hard to get started. We feel kind of the urge to forget our responsibilities. It holds for most of the day, this moon trying to Neptune. But it does bring the opportunity to dive deep and clarify what is working and what is not. So the moon in Scorpio also makes a sextile with Pluto, which is opportunistic. Again, the ability to dive deep, the ability to clarify what's working, what's not, where are we empowered and where are we not. And then it'll also sextile Mercury retrograde, which is right there. So as we sleep, the moon crosses the south node in Scorpio for the first time since the eclipse points moved. So pay attention. This evening is going to tell you a lot with the moon making these connections to Pluto, Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, and the south node in Scorpio. Okay, so Thursday the 27th, we wake up with the moon in Sagittarius, which is pretty optimistic. It's Jupiter ruled, and it happens to come into a square with Jupiter in Pisces almost immediately. So I don't see this square as usually squares are tension. And there is some tension there, I guess, but it's like the good kind where we want to just be pleasure seeking and be in this optimistic, fun, joyful place that this day, Thursday, the 27th. So I really like that. Also, Chiron and the moon both together make a sextile to the sun in Aquarius, it's called a minor grand trine is what I've heard it called. And it is like a triangle aspect. So it's opportunistic, it's supportive, and it clears the way for us to really show up authentically, accept ourselves, believe in ourselves. It's a really good day, Thursday, the 27th. Okay, Friday, the 28th. Today's major transit is Mercury retrograde meeting Pluto in Capricorn. This is the second of 3 Mercury-Pluto conjunctions. December 30th was the first. Mercury moved forward, met Pluto. Is like, oh, okay, I need to empower myself. But it kept moving into Aquarius. It's like, let's just forget about that and try to plan the future. But then Mercury met Saturn, turned around to go retrograde. It was like, ooh, I'm not ready to do that work yet. So let's go check this stuff out. So it's moving backwards, moved into Capricorn. And by Friday, January 28th, it meets up with Pluto again. It's like, hey, yeah, I know I just kind of flew past you back on December 30th, but let's talk about that again. Tell me again where I need to empower myself and how I need to have my own authority and really make sure I'm feeling like I conquer my fears. So we may have on the 28th our fears resurfacing. Mercury retrograde can bring stuff back from the past. And so you may encounter a situation which could be uncomfortable with Mercury retrograde conjoining Pluto. But ultimately, we're called to use this moment to overcome it, to empower ourselves because we're rethinking, redoing. So Pluto comes to transform and empower. But first, it asks us to dive into why we feel disempowered with the Mercury aspect. It'll also give us a preview of the last Venus conjunction with Pluto, which happens March 3rd. So really take notes on this day. What comes up for you Friday, January 28th? Saturday, January 29th, Venus goes direct. Hallelujah. Venus will be direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn. This is its closest approach to an exact trine to Uranus. It's like 15 minutes or like half a degree, less than half a degree away from an exact trine to Uranus, which is the great change maker, the lightning bringer, the epiphany, liberating, revolutionary Uranus. And I have grown so fond of its chaos. Uranus is exactly what makes astrology unpredictable sometimes. I heard someone say, it might have been Sam Reynolds say, fate has 2 arms and one of them's yours, right? But the other arm is going to be Uranus. It's going to throw you these curveballs. So it's what you do with it. and it's a trine. Trines are supportive. So this is ultimately for your greatest good. So Venus goes direct, trine Uranus, Saturday the 29th. Really awesome. A great time to change anything. I encourage you to find out where Capricorn and Taurus are in your chart. So all I can say about this day is to expect the unexpected. If you're thinking of making any changes or shifts in your life, this is the moment. Today is the day to change something in your life for sure. And with the moon freshly in Capricorn, immediately meeting Mars, the moon moves into Capricorn and immediately makes a meeting with Mars on this day, January 29th. And so we're motivated as well. Energy is very high. Mars can be a little bit of a troublemaker, but generally speaking in Capricorn, I think this will be motivating in a work sort of way, in a foundational sort of way. It may be a Saturday, but it's like a good day to get some things done or to be physical. And then the rest of the day on Saturday, the moon is on its way to meet Venus. So, if you expect a good meeting, think of like you as a person, you're expecting a good meeting. You're excited about it, right? That's the nature of this day. Once it passes Mars, it feels like exciting energy as the moon goes to meet Venus and trine Uranus. And Saturday is a day that changes everything. I truly believe that. It turns things around. And then Sunday, we move into the moon in the later degrees of Capricorn, meeting Mercury, retrograde, and Pluto. So this is going to be like another Plutonian empowerment, disempowerment. Am I my own authority? I find it really interesting that there's so much energy in Capricorn right now, bringing back vibes from 2019, early 2020. So you're also reviewing all of that. All of what's been going on over the last 2 and 3 years is what all of these Pluto aspects are about. Pluto keeps making itself known every other day. It's like there's something meeting with Pluto and trining Pluto and all of this. So Sunday, January 30th, we're also moving into new moon territory, and it does move into Aquarius. Let's see what time. I can't remember if it's early or later. It hits Pluto and Mercury. I always say the moon visits when it's important, around 10:30 p.m. Sunday, January 30th. So it's a late night thing where this transit occurs, and then moves into Aquarius on around 4:30 a.m. January 31st. And then we're officially in new moon territory for sure. Now, Monday, January 31st is where I'm going to stop, but let me explain why it's awesome. It's because Mars is moving closer to a sextile with Jupiter. That's going to be really nice and motivating. That's not exact until a little later in the week. And then, of course, new moon in Aquarius. Here's the deal. The new moon in Aquarius is pretty close to conjunct Saturn. If you want to start something that really matters, you're going to use this January 31st new moon, or is it February 1st? I think it's late January 31st. Let me double check when this new moon is. Oh, it's like nearly midnight. Okay, so we're talking overnight, January 31st into February 1st. When this new moon happens, it's going to free up so much. By February 5th, the sun has passed Saturn, and this is our new year, people. February 5th is our actual new year. Because what else happens? Oh my gosh, I'm almost leaving it out. Mercury goes direct on February 3rd. So I will be back again to talk about the new moon, January 31st, and then the 2 weeks after that. But I want to prime you by saying, by the first weekend of February, it really feels like so much changes. I almost want to cry a little bit. That's how I'm predicting it. You run into trouble forecasting these things because you never know, but I am nearly positive life is going to feel much different by February 5th. Now, also, let me announce that February 5th and 6th, I'm doing a workshop with Mallory Hasty of Mallory Hasty Tarot and Astrology. Please look her up. She's awesome. We're doing a workshop on the 8 most important transits this year, 2022, and how to use them. You can hear all this all of you want. all that you want. Me talking about the transits, what it's going to be like. But if you don't know your own rising sign, your own chart, you really don't have the edge. This gives you the edge to work with it, to know, okay, where is the Saturn Sun conjunction in my chart? Where's the second half of Aquarius? What does it mean? Where's Jupiter and Pisces happening for me? Where can I find gifts this year? Where is Mars retrograde in Gemini happening, which happens in October? That's going to be a trip. Let me tell you what. So this workshop, which we call Work It 2022, is about working it. It's about how you can use the astrology to help you get an edge or even work through the more difficult things, right? It's good to know they're coming. Here's the themes that might happen. You'll know it when you see it. And then when you do, at least you've had the, warning, I guess, so to speak, but you know how to work through it and work with it with these transits. So please look, I'm going to send out my newsletter shortly with the video link, with the newsletter, which is typed out for those of you that have had trouble following me. And I will include the link to register for Work It 2022. It's only $88. You're getting 2 people. You're getting a worksheet. You're getting 6 hours. On the first day, February 5th, we're doing 3 hours of explanation. I can't promise we won't go long, about the transits, the 8 most important transits this year. And then on Sunday, February 6th, noon to 3 Central, we're doing meditation, ritual, and discussion. And we actually get to talk about it. You get to interact with us. Mallory might pull some tarot cards. We're definitely going to have a meditation and a ritual to solidify this so that we can use 2022 to actually make our goals happen. It's been so long since we've had this forward movement, but I think we're going to finally experience some of it this year. So I hope you check it out. You can go to my website if you don't get the newsletter, ecstaticastrology.com, to register, and also to get all my newsletters and my blogs and my videos and all of that good stuff. Okay, so it's funny because I've been live and I've gotten like 5 or 6 messages and text messages and stuff, and sorry for those I haven't responded to. I'm live on Facebook. Anyhow, I'll see you guys around January 31st for the new moon in Aquarius. Happy full moon in Cancer. May you feel nourished, may you feel nurtured, and may you feel supported by everything that the universe has to offer. Mwah! I'll see you guys soon.